This is the Music Room, a podcast for listeners interested in taking a deep dive into the lives of the creative people, the industry machine, and the politics that influence today's music. And I'm your host, Elisha Atlas Paris. Our guest today is Kentucky-born virtuoso Thomas T.J. Harden Jr., whose musical prowess has landed him in the role of musical director for gospel artist Rashawn Mitchell and as a keyboardist for the legendary C.C. Winans. TJ has shared the stage with many gospel and Christian music artists and has been part of several stellar, Dove, and Grammy Award-winning and nominated records. I've had the personal pleasure of working with him with some Joe Pace-produced records for the Shallow Church in Jacksonville, Florida. Blessed to have him. Let's welcome TJ. TJ!
Hey, how's it going, man? Thank you so much for having me today.
Man, thank you for being here with us and letting our listeners have an opportunity to hear from such a talented and gifted and
Wow.
well-rounded musician and producer. Let's just jump into it. It's getting the waters nice and warm. Let's jump right into it.
Yes, sir.
I want to start from your beginnings. What got you into music?
Oh, man. I love music from an early age. I'm a church kid, brought up in church my whole life. A lot of people don't know this, but my dad is a drummer. Yes, sir. So it came from being that baby sitting on the church pew, next to dad while we played drums. It started there, and that passion grew as a kid. It turned into me being that kid playing drums at 4 years old during service, 5 years old, young kid. So it all started back at home, my home church as a kid.
This was in Kentucky as well?
Yes, sir. Man, I was born in a farm town. I'm talking country, farm town, cattle farmers, the corn ray, like that type of country. High school only had 42 people in my graduating class.
Wow.
Small town. It's a super small town. So I grew up in a town like that, and that's all we did. School, work, and church. That was pretty much it. That's how I was brought up.
I know that life, TJ. My father was a musician pastor. I grew up in a small town in South Florida, Deerfield Beach.
Okay.
What it is. And our house was literally attached to the church. So
Wow.
we walked from the breezeway where the washer and dryer was into the
Mm-hmm.
church kitchen. And we were responsible for cutting on the air conditioning, making so
Yes,
I
sir.
know what you're talking about.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Beyond your mastery of the black and whites, well, let's talk about your transition to the black and whites, the keyboard, because
Okay.
you started on drums, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
tell me about that transition.
So, that small country town, my uncle, my dad's brother played guitar, and for years, it was just drums and guitar. I grew up in an old school Pentecostal church. So it was just my dad and my uncle was like, hey, there's a B3 over there. And I'm like, hey, I want to be a drummer. I want to play drums. He's like, well, I'm here. I'm playing drums. So you know how it is, as us fathers do, like, hey, get over there and figure it out. We're with you, but get over there and figure it out. So it really became that, my father still to this day, a huge influence just with the music. Like, I played bass, but then my younger brother was that 8-year-old, prodigy that just came along. And I was like, well, I'm never touching that again. So it was just, I got the keys, just the demand. Our community didn't really have keyboard players like that. So it was kind of like I sat over there, messed up a lot, got fussed at a lot in love, until finally it was like, this is starting to make sense. So it started from there as a teenager and, you know, kept moving forward from there.
Awesome. So you found a niche and you met it. So you define yourself as self-taught.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Amazing.
Yes, sir. It started there, but of course, you know how the industry is. I wanted to get some training as well, knowing chord names, being able to read, charts, chord charts, make charts, because as the industry is now, you go in the studio, work with somebody. It's not any rehearsals. It's none of this. You walk in the day of, you in sound check, they hand you a folder. Like, you go. And it's like, again, where I came from, that was foreign to me. So, yeah, started off self-taught. Always had an ear for music, but I definitely wanted some training to go along with it. So I understood, on a different level.
If you could explain to the audience, my listeners
Mhm.
are cats interested in getting to the industry, and yes, they call it getting on, and I'm not going to ask you about that. But I will ask you about as you grew from just being a good musician to an industry vaunted musician. What is your approach to production
Oh,
and leadership?
oh wow. My approach with production, I feel it's different with every artist personally. You know, my opinion, like artist A and artist B, their artistry may not be the same. So as a producer, it's like, soon as I get a call, if I get a call with something, I'm asking a lot of questions. Because one is, in my opinion, it's not our job as producers to create the vision. To me, it's like, I want to hear it. Where's your heart? Where are you at with this? What's this song mean to you? What are you hearing? What's your thoughts? And taking those things, and even if they give you that much of a vision, turn it into something bigger than even what they thought. So that's typically my approach to production. Always take their vision, whatever that is, and just make it bigger than what they could imagine it could be. I think one of the main things I was guilty in my younger days, producing songs and records from my instrument's perspective.
Uh-huh.
So just really taking time, yes, there's deadlines. Yes, artists, they want their stuff right, which I understand the excitement of it all, but understanding the deadline, the time that you have to work with, but still not rushing the process.
When you start tackling the production or the music leadership as a music director, are you thinking from the outside in or from the inside out? You did mention you try not to think from your instrument. So are you
Mhm.
thinking big picture first or are you thinking from your spot and building out?
Usually it's the outside in because for me, the stuff musicians like us would understand, we would know. That's a G7 sharp 9 sharp. Oh man, stuff that excites us. A lot of times the average consumer that'll go over their head and it's like, wait, what was that? So understanding whether it, again, a record or preparing for a concert, a tour, or whatever, I always put myself in the audience perspective first. What is going to translate? Because I mean, these days, those are the people who are buying the tickets, who are buying the records, who are doing that. And I feel I wouldn't be serving the artist properly if we do, unless, I'm kind of referring to gospel at the moment. If we make their show about us and how well any of us can play, sing, arrange, all of that. It's like, how do we be tasteful? How do we be simple? Um, Song calls for us to go, hey, let's go in the intro or wherever. But other than that, staying out the way so the message can be clear. So the message, everyone can hear the message and you hear the message, and then we're just there to add the emotion and feeling behind and supporting the person out front. So that's kind of, I think, during the process.
This is why I appreciate your heart and think of you as one of the top five producers.
Oh, wow.
Because you serve the artist, serve the work, and
Oh,
you don't serve yourself. Selfless, not selfish, which makes again your work, in my opinion, very very commercial, but not because you don't have the gift. Because they can't do it. They can't
wow.
do all the stuff. You can, and you choose to serve the project and the artist and audience, and then ultimately the God that you love. So,
Absolutely.
TJ, as you probably already know, it's some 53 million Americans listen to Christian and gospel music several times in a week. That's just in a week. In
You're
a
right.
week, that's a big number. And I want to ask you two questions about that. Uh, one is a singular question. The other has an A and B to it.
Okay.
First, why do you feel that this large number of people, many who are not committed to organized religion,
Mm-hmm.
are drawn to this genre of music?
Mm. Um, there's a few reasons. I think one big reason is gospel music is one of the few genres that is so broad. Under that umbrella of gospel, it can be labeled gospel or Christian, and it can sound like country music. It can sound bluegrass. It can sound traditional church choir. It can sound contemporary. It can be hip hop. It can be jazz. I think a lot of it has to do with that because, again, as a listener, there's so many backgrounds, so many, people that come from so many different environments, but yet this one genre has so much to offer, you know. So that's one side of it. And then a lot of times, just the message of hope. People are going through so many things. Just it's one to listen to great music, but when that great music has a great message in it, you know, it just gives people hope. They may be going through a hard time, but maybe a song brings them peace. During that trying time. So I think, in my opinion, that's two big reasons why um, people listen to gospel music: the message, and then just the versatility of the genre.
So let's take that and kind of shift it to the business of music. Um, do you think this listenership, this large listenership, translates into real or significant revenue? And if so, let me give you the B so you can just talk like you want to talk.
Okay.
Here's the B side to that. If if it does produce significant revenue, given this new shift in what music is, because music used to be a product, now it's
Right.
a service,
Right.
right? You used to be able to buy CDs and such. Now you stream it, so it's a service now,
Hmm.
which significantly changed um, the money side.
Right.
So
Right.
if this listenership translates into revenue, significant revenue, how do you feel like artists, producers, um, and writers like we are,
Mhm.
how do we tap into that stream of revenue? Like you, um, much of what builds a contract for me is not just the front end. It's the
Right.
producer's credit. It's the writer's credit. It's the
Right.
back end. As a matter of fact, I just got my little sorry BMI yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
It wasn't that bad, but
Right. Right.
So my question is, um, what are some ways, if there's revenue to be tapped into, what are some ways that you feel um, artists, producers, and writers can tap into that?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay.
That is such a great question, and I'm sitting here like, oh wow, such a great question. I think with how, like you mentioned, times have changed. For artists, it's looking like the marketing and social media, and along with that is having a brand that, if they make the money off the streams and that, all that stuff, even merchandise these days, shirts, hats, wristbands, coffee mugs, bags. Um, that seems like ways that I've seen people really make some nice revenue outside the streaming thing, for artists. But also, okay, artists, if they're out, whether if they have a record out and they have their own music, understanding live performance royalties as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of it is, especially even on the producer side, understanding, knowing enough of the business where you can handle business, if that
Say that.
makes
Say wait,
sense.
wait, preacher. Say that again for the people. Say that again for the people.
Understanding the business enough to handle business. This industry, um, it can be tricky at times, and if you don't have contracts, if you don't protect yourself on paper, um, it can things can get a little challenging at times. So it's just understanding, up front, the business of it and being able to govern yourself accordingly with that. So, so when I would tell even writers, producers, are write, even if no one's asking you for a song on the record, still write every day. It could just be, you know, um, a click track, a piano, and you humming a melody, or you could just write, a song that's a poem with a melody. Just write whatever it is write. Just write, and you know, staying ready so you don't have to get ready. In so many words.
There's another one. He's got lines all day for us. Say that again, brother. Say it again.
Staying ready so you never have to get ready.
Amen.
Like for an example, my wife and I have a hard drive sitting here looking at it now. Songs just again, it may be it may not even be 100% done. It may say, here's the verse, here's the chorus, here's the bridge, here's the vamp. This song is so personal. Whoever's leading it is gonna have to write the verse or the artist. You know what I'm saying? It may be that. It may be a full song. It may just be a hook. It may be, but every day record something, and it doesn't have to be some elaborate studio setup. It can be voice notes, just record something, record ideas. If you have a team of people, group of people, write together, understand split sheets, and just write. Have fun with the gifts that you're given, and write.
So, TJ, I want to ask you one final question. What does the next 6 months to a year look like for you?
Wow. So currently, as of yesterday, we just got masters back for CC Winans record. Super honored and blessed to be a co-producer on her record. Um, Man, such an honor. Such an honor. So her record's dropping. We leave next week to start tour rehearsals for her. So she's touring until June and then probably August, probably until November this year. So
A lot of road.
yes, sir. A lot of road. A lot of road. So, that's what we're working on. Um, I'm literally almost done working on a Kurt Carr record, which is such a blessing and an honor again. Man, it's just an honor when anybody thinks of you and asks you to be part of anything. So, and especially with those two, they're top tier in my book. Their catalogs speak for themselves, and just to be asked to be part of the process is amazing. So those two things, working on those now. Have a good friend here in town. He from my hometown, in Central Kentucky.
All right.
He did a live record, so that was a fun opportunity. Hey, I'm going to produce. I'm not going to play. We're going to get the young guys in our city, let them do their thing, coach them, let them, and that has been a fun process. So right now, that's pretty much the main thing. Um, Shawn Mitchell's record came out last year, which is new and doing well. So that's about it this year. That's what it's
That's a
looking
lot.
like.
That's a lot. That's a lot, brother. That's a lot. Well,
Yes, sir.
again, thank you. Can you let the audience know how to access some of your work if you've done you know your own projects, and you mentioned some of the projects you've already worked on. Is there a place we can go to access stuff that you're doing or have done?
Yes, sir. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, all the social media is Thomas Harden Jr. Um, all of that's there. I have a website, thomashardenjr.com, if anyone wants to stop by. And
Y'all heard that? ThomasHardenJr.com.
yes, sir. And yes, sir. That and I think everything is pretty much there that I've been working on, for the past few years.
Well, thank you, TJ, for chatting with us.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you. I pray God's blessing on everything that you put your hands on.
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Thank
May
you.
it be elevated beyond your wildest dreams. That's our prayer.
Oh, yes, sir.
In upcoming episodes, we'll talk with Grammy and Oscar award winning artist John Baptiste, keyboard player David D1 Grant, the choir master Meacham L. Clark, and music mogul Mo Henderson. Until next time, stay musical.